All right, so today we're going to be talking about how we graph sine, cosine, and tangent. So in class, if you were here, we did a activity where we filled out these things right here. And what we did is if this is sine x, we said, well, what is sine at 0? So your y value 0 was 0. I'll make these go by half just so it looks bigger. And then your sine value at 90 degrees is 1. And then at pi is 0. 3 pi over 2, your y value is -1, and then 0. And we connected these dots. This shape here is always your shape of your sine curve because sine of 0 is always 0. Sine of pi over 2 is always 1. So when we graph them, it's easiest. What I always do is I make 4 marks. The 4th mark is always my period. So whatever your period is goes right here. And then you label your A, which is your amplitude right here. So this is my amplitude. And and then your graph won't change though. So on the first dot, it's always at 0 for sine. Second dot is up. Third dot's here. Fourth dot, and then fifth dot here. So you go origin up, middle. And that's if you type sine of pi in your calculator, you would get that. This does repeat forever and ever. So you can put little arrows on the end of your picture. Now cosine's picture, remember cosine starts at 1 because cosine of 0 is 1. And then it goes 0, -1, 0, 1. So if I was going to draw more than one cycle of this, it would look like this. But you'll see me typically only graph one cycle. So to get your period, it's 2 pi over your b, so whatever your number is right there. Your amplitude is says half your max minus your min. And this is your amplitude right here, and it's just how high. So amplitude is from the middle up. How high is your graph going? So if you go from top to bottom, half of that is called your amplitude. So on here, my amplitude is 2. My period is 2 pi over 4. 2 pi over 4. So that would be pi over 2. So what we do is we make 4 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put my period on the 4th mark, and then I like to mark my first mark because it helps you guys later in tomorrow's section. So then you always multiply the bottom by 4 because there's 4 marks to get that number. So you get pi over 8 and mark off my amplitude up 2, down 2. And then your picture is right here. So it always starts at 0, up, 0, down, 0. So all our pictures should be the same. Cosine, your amplitude is the 1/3. My period would be 2 pi over the 2 pi right here. So my period is going to be a 1. And so you're going to mark off your 4 marks, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then your first mark is 1/4. So I'm just going to label this as 1/3 here. I multiplied the bottom by 4. And then cosine starts up, middle, down, middle, up. And so there's your picture of that. So this one right here, your amplitude is 2. My period would be 2 pi divided by 1, which is just 2 pi. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So we get 2 pi, which makes my first mark a pi over 2. And then you just draw your dots again. So these dots right here never change, and you can always check in your calculator, you could type in 2 sine of 0, it will come out as 0. 2 sine of pi over 2 will come out as 2. You can check these points. So amplitude is 3, period is 2 pi over your b, so 2 pi over 3. So make your 4 marks, 2 pi over 3. Multiply this by 4 to get my mark up in the front. So that'd be 2 pi over 6, or 2 pi over 12, which is pi over 6. And then amplitude, so up 3 and down 3. Cosine starts up and then goes down and up. There's that one. Now tangent's a little different because tangent, your period is pi over your b. So it's not 2 pi because it takes half the amount of time for tangent to repeat itself. There's no A on tangent because it goes up and down forever. So what a tangent graph will look like for us is like this. So it kind of looks like an X cubed graph. It follows your dotted lines, kind of curves, like goes straight and then goes through the middle. So my period here, oh, and to mark your things, my period would be like pi over 1. So half of that goes on my first mark on each side. So whatever you're going to do, your period here would be pi. So half of that is what goes on either side. So watch. So this period here is pi because your b is 1. So what I'm going to do is I do one mark on either side of the origin, make my dotted lines. It's called your asymptotes, and it's half of that mark. And then it's going to be an x cubed graph. So here my period is pi over 2. So half of that goes on either side of my dotted lines right here. So we get pi over 4, pi over 4, and then just make your cubic. If A was ever negative, you would just make it go in this direction. Just like up here, if A was negative, you would just flip it over your x-axis. And we're going to be doing problems like that tomorrow.